the 1% of the 1%. Fitting, my gosh, Kristin Blaze. This is amazing. Boca Raton Championship Wrestling, we're here at this show. She's been on CCW, Coastal Championship Wrestling. She's really tearing it up. This is someone to keep an eye on. Keep both eyes on. But I just wanted to, first off, thank you for taking some time. I wanted you to talk about the college ranks. You're a pole vaulter.
Yes.
And just how that became something for you, became good at the pole vault and going to college and where you went and just what happened there.
Absolutely. So how I got into pole vaulting was, I'm from New York originally, and we have these physical fitness tests every single year. And one year I was just cranking out pull-ups. I was beating the girls, I was beating the guys. And then my gym coach was like, Kristin, have you ever considered pole vaulting? And I was like, what's that? And he was like, you run with a giant stick, you stick it in the ground, and you go flying in the air. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's what I'd love to try that, of course. And you know, I picked up a pole, I fell in love with it. You know, I had a great high school career. With
How old were you when you started doing that for the pole vault?
I really started taking pole vaulting seriously and when I was, oh my gosh, what was that, 14? 13, 14?
Very young. Did you do sports before that?
Yes, I was a gymnast. I was a gymnast for about 10 years. I was a diver. I made falling look pretty. And then I picked up the pole vault.
Olympics, was that something, a goal for any of those sports for you?
That was a goal for mine. You know, as a kid, I remember I was 8 years old in 2008 Beijing. And I was just watching, at the time I was a gymnast, so I was watching the women's gymnastics and I was like, wow, Mom, that's what I want to do. I want to be on that level. And you know, as I got older, I went to the college level, and it didn't, pole vaulting didn't work out, but I think everything happens for a reason because now I'm here in the wrestling world. So
even though you say it didn't work out, I mean, high school, state champion pole vaulter in high school.
Yes, I was on the podium every single year, sophomore, junior, and senior year. Yes.
Real deal. Then you get a college scholarship. So where did you go to high school, and then where did you go to college?
Yeah, so I went to high school at Woodbury High School in New York. And I started off at USF in Tampa.
University of South Florida, go Bulls!
Yes, right, go Bulls. I was there for 2 years, and then during the quarantine, I transferred on over to FIU in Miami. That's how I ended up in South Florida. And, I did my 2 years there. I graduated, and then because of COVID, NCAA granted us an extra year, so I took my my COVID year for eligibility. Of course I was going to use that. And again, I love pole vaulting. It taught me so much. It's a sport that like really uplifts you and breaks you at the same time, and it's a beautiful, I learned so much about myself with that sport, so many life lessons with that sport. I learned mental toughness with that sport.
It's an individual effort.
Absolutely.
There is no team effort. And when you're saying you're learning things, what did you learn about yourself when you're going through this whole process? Because even gymnastics, even though it's individual, you're still part of a team. And in college, especially if you do gymnastics in college, it's a team atmosphere there. Yeah. But what was it like pole vaulting and just your inner self during that time?
My inner self. So, my biggest thing was, I don't want to say I took it too seriously, but like, sometimes I lost the point of having fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're working so hard, training so hard.
Yeah, my best meets were always when I was having fun. And you could see it in the video clips, you could see it in everything. When I was, how do I describe this? Again, I don't want to say it's, I didn't take it, I was being too hard on myself when I should have just let go, let it flow, have fun. And, it's just me in a bar. And I'm running with a giant stick in my hand, putting it into the ground and seeing how high I could fly. This sport taught me how to fly.
Now you get to transition. And first, by the way, did you graduate college?
I did graduate college, yes.
What did you get your degree in college?
Public relations and advertising.
Which is good because you're outspoken and you like to cut a promo, so you like to do things like that. So that's good. It's fitting. So then how do you land yourself into professional wrestling after all that?
Wow. So I never saw myself doing this. I did not watch wrestling growing up. Now, mind you, I did know who the big names were. I did know who John Cena, The Rock, Roman Reigns. I did know who they were, but I didn't watch it religiously. And what got me into the wrestling world was I was actually contacted by the WWE. They reached out to me on Instagram. I did a series of tryouts. And
at the Performance Center up in Orlando?
Yeah, I did one. That was like my callback one. So I did one as a SummerSlam, and then I did one back. I got called back to the PC in Orlando. And at the time, it didn't work out. But I truly believe everything happens for a reason. And now my coach, I'm getting trained by a WWE legend, Gangrel, and I am so grateful for that man. Having him as a coach, his psychology of everything, his passion. This is an art, right? What we're doing, professional wrestling is an art, and he is just so passionate about it. As an athlete, how can I not absorb that? You know what I mean? I'm very grateful for him, and I'm so glad that it worked out this way. So when I am ready,
You'll be there. And Coastal Championship Wrestling has a training center in Pompano Beach. They do that there, and they've trained a lot of good wrestlers, and they put on shows, as we noted. I'm curious, because I'll get to the 1% of the 1%, but I'm also curious, too, was it because of the pole vault WWE contacted you through college and your successes there?
Yes.
So was there any like trepidation or just, what is this? What do I need to learn about this? Or was it right away, hey, I'm in? Like, how did you prepare yourself when WWE came calling and decide, okay, I'm going to give this a try?
Well, at first, it was an Instagram DM, so I was like, oh, this is a scam, and I'm going to put my day. And then I was like, you know what, let's read it, let's see, and it was like the actual legitimate account. I was like, oh my God, this is real. Oh my God, I never thought I'd be doing this. So then I was like, oh my gosh, I was very taken aback about how much, this business is and how big it is and what goes into it. And, again, I can't see myself doing anything else now, but at that moment I was just shocked. That's the best way I could say it.
It's amazing. And you're going from that, let's see, what am I going to do in my career? Okay, college is ending. And then all of a sudden this opportunity comes about. Now you're the 1% of the 1%. And I love this story.
Thank you.
Tell about this name that you came up with.
So the 1% of the 1% is off of averages, right? So from high school students going to Division I level, it's about 1% of athletes that do it, right? Now, of that 1% of athletes, only about 1% of those 1% medal at the collegiate level. And I was a 2-time all-conference medalist. I've been on the podiums twice, humbly I say. That's hard work right there, but that's kind of where I got the 1% of the 1% from. And the average, it's around those numbers, but it's the 1% of the 1%, and I took it and ran with it.
And she's running with it, and she's proven herself too, which is great. And I'm also wondering, the gift for gab, did that come right away, or did you have to, as far as talking on the mic and being able to interact with the crowd, is that just something natural that you were able to develop and continue to develop?
I feel like I've always kind of had that type of personality. Is it hard, like when you're first out there, grabbing a microphone and cutting a promo? Absolutely, that's nerve-wracking. It's always, public speaking is a little nervous for me, but at the end of the day, you gotta be yourself and be the character that you're being.
And lastly, just tell us the future goals.
Well, my future goals is to have the world know my name. I'd love to be on WWE. Hard work pays off. I'm working hard, and I'm just trusting the process. As my coach Gangrel says, the journey's the jewel, and I'm just trying to sit back and enjoy the journey, and wherever life takes me, it will take me.
And you have social media for fans?
Yes, yeah. My Instagram is Kristin Blaze. All my other social medias it's Kristin Blaze.
And that is a 1% of a 1% of an interview.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.